Joshua chapter 5, verse 2 says, "At that time the Lord said to Joshua, 'Make flint knives and circumcise the sons of Israel a second time.'" Now, at that time, speaking of after Israel has officially crossed the Jordan River, they have crossed the Jordan River. They're staying at Gilgal. The people of the land, the kings of the Amorites, kings of the Canaanites, they've all heard the news about this God. And so at this time, when all of this is happening, the Lord said to Joshua, and so he's speaking to this leader that he has commissioned, this is my command. This is what I'm telling you to do, Joshua. Lead my people. Make flint knives and circumcise the sons of Israel a second time. Now, we'll get into this a second time. Ultimately, you can't be circumcised twice. I hope everyone kind of knows what this is, but once you kind of cut it off, then it's gone. You can't do it a second time. So what's ultimately going on is the fact that there's a new generation that has arisen. This is the new generation that is entering the promised land, and they have not been circumcised. So the people of Israel used to, in previous generations, they were obedient to the covenant. They were circumcised. But this whole generation that was born in the wilderness, they had not been circumcised. And so this is why God is commanding them to circumcise the sons of Israel a second time. Basically, what we're doing is we're getting the people of Israel ready to enter the land. Now, making flint knives opposed to, just using any other, like why flint specifically, flint knife. This might go back to Exodus chapter 4, verses 24 through 26. Within this account in Exodus chapter 4, you'll find that God had raised up Moses to go to Egypt from the land of Midian, go deliver my people, bring them back to this land, to this mountain. I'll give them the law. You're going to be the leader, different things like that. Well, on the journey to Egypt, Moses had an encounter with God. Moses was not being obedient. Moses had a serious blind spot in his life, and that was the fact that he had failed to circumcise his own son. And Zipporah, his wife, took a flint and cut off her son's foreskin and touched Moses' feet with it, and then basically called him a bridegroom of blood. It's kind of this whole weird scene in Exodus chapter 4, verses 24 through 26. You can look at that on your own. Maybe we'll make a future video about that. But this may be what is going on here. The Lord is kind of speaking to Joshua, and he's taking Joshua and the people of Israel kind of back to an event like this. Or maybe it was just they had flint with them, and so he was able to do that. We don't really know, but ultimately at that time the Lord said to Joshua, and this is what he said, "Made flint knives and circumcised the sons of Israel a second time." So the whole point here, whether or not it goes back to this verse or not, the whole point is that Israel is about to cross they've already crossed the land. Israel is about to go in and take possession of the land, the promised land that God had promised Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, that God was bringing them into. And in order for them to do that, Israel needed to be circumcised. Why? Because circumcision was a sign of the covenant that they had with God, that they were his people, that they were separate, they were distinct, they were a contrast from the rest of the world. They were different. And so circumcision is something that set them apart physically. You are my people. You're not just any people. You're my people. And so the people of God needed to be circumcised so that they were made ready to receive their inheritance. And so this is why God said to Joshua, "Made flint knives and circumcise the sons of Israel a second time." Get my people ready. Get my people ready. That is kind of the point here. Joshua 5:2. At that time the Lord said to Joshua, "Made flint knives and circumcised the sons of Israel a second time." Joshua 5:2.